Warning: the conversation in this podcast are the thoughts of my own and the thoughts of my guest speakers. Tonight we have Mr. J and another guest speaker, Raj. All of these thoughts are a combination of our own, so please take them with a huge grain of salt. Back to the show. Hi there. Sorry for butting into the podcast. So this podcast is brought to you by Anchor. And I just want to promote Anchor for all the listeners out there. What is Anchor, you say? Anchor is free. Okay? Totally free. So don't need to worry about that. What else? Anchor has basically all the creation tools that you'll need and you want to kickstart that podcast that you've been dreaming all this time. It helps it get it on the road. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Anchor takes care of that too. So you just have to create an account, start recording, and edit everything within the Anchor ecosystem. That makes things a lot more easy. Start creating. You can download the app too. May that be on Apple or Android. There's no bias there. If you want to get working on your computer, you can always go to anchor.fm. Again, the website is anchor.fm. Creating your podcast has never been easier. Thanks. Back to the show. Nowadays, life is intertwined with technology. Let's figure it out. Welcome to Life, Tech, and Sundry. Previously on Life, Tech, and Sundry.
Started off at 70% as an investor, because I know that after they made that announcement, the stocks for Pfizer went up. As an investor, when should be like a good time to like say, okay, maybe I should start putting money into these companies' stocks?
Into biotech, for example? Sure, I can definitely. So a biotech company, when it is listed on the stock exchange, generally these companies are there because they have one molecule, one compound, or they're just trying to monetize one specific thing.
And now, back to the show.
And then there's monetizing it through going the various FDA regulations, which are the phase 1, 2, and 3 trials. So, and in each phase, essentially, I think by the time you get to phase 3, you're doing these things called double-blind tests. And you're basically getting very close to getting the permission, if your data is good, from the government to say you can now go sell it. And this entire process costs a lot of money. Yeah. And what usually ends up happening is that when companies are getting good phase 2 data, so this is, before phase 3 data, large players will actually come in, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and they will pair up with this company and say, we'll help you license it, we'll help you distribute this medicine through the entire, medical ecosystem. And so it's usually around phase 2 when, as a normal investor, you may start understanding, because at phase 1, you're kind of guessing. You may have the understanding of the science, but you don't know if that medicine is going to pass through the various clinical trials. And there's an entire set of investing in the stock market called biotech investing, where a lot of smart people with PhDs and medical degrees are hired by these various hedge funds to analyze the data and try to get ahead of the crowd, so to speak. So to answer your question, it's going to sound silly, but you don't know when it's the right time. Because, for example, when Novavax, because of the pandemic issue, their stock, I think, was trading around $2 or $3 a share. And now it's like near $200 a share. That's because that they had some technology, they were able to get this through the phases, and then each subsequent phase, the stock rose, and then eventually it is where it is. So to give you I've spoken here at length here, but the runabout answer is that you need to be able to understand, is this product going to get to the street, meaning are hospitals, physicians, etc., going to be able to prescribe it? And then second, or the first question before that is that, is this particular compound medicine going to be able to pass those tests? So that's where you have to do research.
Okay. Because it always surprises me, like when something like that happens where they announce that they have this new breakthrough, and then all of a sudden the stock just goes up for that. Maybe for like not like a long period of time, but for that quick spike is what everybody's trying to get for. Okay, this is the time. Yeah. If you're one of the few lucky people that has it, to be okay, time to sell something, and then once it goes down, you do your next decision.
Correct. And then the idea is why the stock spikes is that it's good news, because that means that this company will eventually start making money. It's going to be able to sell or monetize the product, and therefore its future earnings should go up. And then if future earnings are going up, the idea is that the valuation of the company is going up.
Yeah. So in a super simple way, basically the stock market is people voting with their wallets and that they believe in what the company is doing. Like super simple. Yes. Super simple.
Marcus, it's hard for me to, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky here. So you're voting with your wallet, but you necessarily may not have correct inside information.
That's the gamble. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard for you to say that, you know what, I know, because if you know, what are you going to do? You're going to bet the house. You're going to take money out of the bank, get a mortgage and invest, because you're going to make more money in the stock market.
Yeah.
But the risk is you don't know. And so that, hence the term speculation or investing for the long haul. And there are ways to think about that. But so Ida, is that a fair answer?
Yeah. No, it is, because this is me being a super not knowing what the market is. This is me like a hot take, if you will, for my understanding of the entire thing. It's absolutely, it's a hot take. You're buying into the latest fad. Maybe those jeans look real nice, but 6 months later, that skinny jeans are out. There we go. Yes,
all the money you spent, has gone down the drain.
Yeah. So what everyone should always take is like, okay, understand the fad, but recognize. I mean, maybe buy in when there's a fad, but understand that there's a longer haul and a longer game being played, because like my generation and some people from a little bit older than me are living in the internet, and everything goes fast in the internet. We must understand that it takes 5 years, even 10 years to see a result.
Yes. And in the stock market, in the equity markets, earnings, that means that can you make money? That's the oxygen that keeps a stock moving up. If you can't sell your stuff, it's a wrap. Yeah.
You're done for.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, like, someone as a data scientist, someone be able to create like a model that can
a 10-year
roughly like a model that can roughly predict how the stock market is going to do. Then that would be something very valuable. Because imagine
so
that, like he says, like.
Do you guys have time? Like, should I? I don't want to monopolize.
I'm down. I'm down. This is our thoughts. I mean, are you okay with it? Also?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's perfect $2.99, please. No, it's free, gentlemen, and nothing to sell here. So there's a wonderful company. It's called Renaissance Technologies, and they are a hedge fund. They invest money for other rich people and other institutions, as well as the people who work within the fund are given the chance to invest with them. So the lore of this company is strictly a data science story, is that these guys are returning like 45 to 50% a year on $4 to $5 billion of investable capital. So you can imagine, the insiders of this company are generating about $2 billion a year that's split up between all the people who are invested in the fund. And this company, as to when you look at who it's hired, it's entirely a non-finance background family. It's physicists, anthropologists, it's statisticians, astronomers, some people from biotech. And what they're doing is they're trying to come up with different modeling techniques. And they're saying that, can you try to look at the market from a different way and use your background in your field, for example, and see if we can find some correlation with all the big data that they have. So they are it's just, I would look it up. It's called Renaissance Technologies. And then it would be worth exploring and reading it some more on them. And that will give you an idea as to what's happening out there in terms of the mathematical power of the wealth that can be generated if you understand what's happening.
They take reading the tea leaves to the next level.
Yeah, I guess.
No, but what I was trying to go into is I guess someone of that power, but because I know that models out there, more specifically a model, for example, that can, for the autonomous driving, that your car can drive by itself. So essentially creating a computer model of how the stock market is going to play. And of course, it needs data. So having people with these different background input the data, and the model can say, oh, this is how it could be. And it could be something as high like a 70% accuracy can help predict it a little bit.
So I hope you find this fascinating. If you get to, 10-15% accuracy, you will become the richest man since Midas.
Oh wow!
Because the market, because the market itself is a dynamic instrument. So what's happening is that. Sorry.
Richard and
Midas, the Greek king. He touched things and it became gold.
Yeah, Midas touch.
Yeah.
Midas
yes.
Damn, what?
The Midas touch, yes. So my point being is that you don't even have to be that precise in your guesstimation and your analysis, because the market is dynamic. So when you have data that's analyzing what's happened in the past 6 months, 6 days, 6 hours, it's fundamentally shifting over time. So how does your algorithm align for the changes in the data flow? How does the algorithm align with changes in the structure, meaning there may be good news, but there may be bad news? And so there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. And some of it is definitely above my understanding as well. But the net is that if you can figure out a way to handle the changes of the market, that person is going to be a historical superhero.
Oh wow! Because I think back to I said, autonomous driving. It has to be as accurate as it can be. So some of these models can be 80 or 90% accurate, because you don't want the car to swerve out of the road.
Not at all.
You want it to stay in his lane. So that's what I think of, because typically we reach for those type of numbers where it's 7 above 50 at the very least.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you use your math, if you can find a correlation factor, even in 0.4, 0.5, and then you can figure out when to execute and when not to execute, you're doing pretty good.
And on my side, on the engineering side, for the safety factor,
take us to space with that data. Yes. Yeah.
For the safety factor, it has to be at least both for energy efficiency. 70% is your most efficient level of output versus production, in my experience. And then in mechanical engineering, has to be 75% generally.
Amazing. And that makes sense, because in the real world, the conditions are dynamic, but kind of known, right? We know what the stress factor variable of a piece of iron bar is, I guess, or we know when the car is zipping through space, how much that cloud is going to affect the LiDAR or what have you. But in the market, it could be what happened to those fellows at Wall Street Bets, right? How many people predicted that a bunch of 20-year-olds will join up in a union and go buy
union.
stock.
Magic word, union.
Yes. And,
Reddit's a very powerful thing.
Yeah. So it's
That's
just
how we
beautiful.
met.
And it is. This internet thing is a thing. So, yeah. So I for off, off podcast, basically, I would recommend that you get into and read a little bit about the financial algorithms and other data sets. So you'll understand that you don't have to be that precise. You have to have a correct or a predictive correlation. That's the key. You don't have to be correct all the time.
Okay.
That's today I learned. Yeah. Because like from the engineering side, like, you have at least a minimum of like I said, 75% safety. And I heard with Josue with machine learning, can you equivalent to that, Josue?
For my classes, my deep learning models, typically they ask
Deep
for
learning.
like 80 to 85 accuracy.
Which is higher than mine.
Yeah. I mean, but it makes more sense because my cases were, I guess, more real, like identifying what species of animals is, or identifying what traffic sign is it, because you don't want to say like it's a yield sign, but in reality it's a stop sign.
Yeah. And versus mine, let's say, normally we would also work with concrete and all those things. Let's say that the highway, the speed limit is 65. Legally, they did that, for general purposes, but theoretically, it could go up to 3 times higher. But nobody's going to be running 180 miles an hour constantly on those roads. And considering that might rain, it could rain, it could snow, people could be drunk and all those things. Generally, you bring it down to like 60 miles an hour or 70. But theoretically, in theory, it could handle up to 180 and all those things. But we deal like, okay, if your iron breaks at steel specifically breaks at 1,000 pounds per square inch, let's keep everything in our parameters 700 pounds per square inch.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But now for making money, it's the opposite. The opposite's true. If you have like a 15% yield consistently, you're awesome.
Roughly speaking, but yes, absolutely, man.
All right. So, Marcos, next topic.
Okay. Next topic on the document. Okay.
Because I forgot which one we were in.
CRISPR.
Oh, yeah.
Number 4. Now we're going to do number 4. Number 4. Calculations show humans can't contain super intelligent machines. Open quote. In a new study, researchers from Germany's Max Planck Institute for Human Development say they've shown that an artificial intelligence in the category known as super intelligent would be impossible for humans to contain with competing software. That doesn't sound promising, but are we all doomed to bow down or bend the knee, if you will, to our sentient AI overlords? Berlin's Institute for Human Development studies how humans learn and how we subsequently build and teach machines to learn. A superintelligent AI is one that exceeds human intelligence and can teach itself new things beyond human grasp. It's the phenomenon that causes a great deal of thought and research. The Planck press release points out superintelligent AIs already exist in some capacities. There are already machines that perform certain important tasks independently without programmers fully understanding how they learned it. Study co-author Manuel Cebrian explained. The question therefore arises whether this could at most point become uncontrollable and dangerous for humanity.
Mhm.
Mathematicians, for example, use complex machine learning to help solve outliers from famous proofs. Scientists use machine learning to come up with new candidate molecules to treat diseases. Yes, much of this research involves some amount of quote unquote brute force solving. The single fact that computers can race through billions of calculations and shorten these problems from decades or even centuries to days or months. Read more at popularmechanics.com. .com
/
Nah, that's okay. But yeah. So I want to say basically calm down, but at the same time, should we even be worrying about it? Because humans, we worry about AI as a form of humans to preserve our existence. Meanwhile, AIs don't really have to pass that genetic information like we do. That's my entire premise. Like, yes, calm down, but at the same time, we're thinking about it as a survival species. That's all. That's my statement. What say you, Raj and Josue?
Okay, so for me, I am looking at this from, because I've been thinking about this for a minute. I look at it a little bit differently from a cultural point of view, and the idea being that perhaps we are overthinking the problem. Maybe like let's get there and then we kind of understand some of these things, because we're assigning a lot of kind of human characteristics to how the AI is performing. Now, I think there was a recent case out of Google where, essentially the thing was becoming racist, right? It was.
Twitter also did an AI, quote unquote AI.
Yeah. So, but that is a problem of data input and what the data actually looks like. So, for Jay there, how do you clean the data to fix it? And I guess that's a human thing, and maybe you can program the computer. But I don't know if we should be spending so much energy worrying about if the AI is going to come kick us out of our house or stuff. I think that takes away from the actual discussion of, what is happening in front of us and how can we, benefit from it.
It seems like there's survival or preservation of individuals.
It sounds like the AI is going to be the next tax collector.
Basically.
That's right. Yeah. There's a company trying to they're trying to develop a AI legal court judge, so to speak. Like when you have small arguments, you can, instead of going in front of a judge or a arbitration panel, you present your case to the AI machine and it will rule for you.
That's never a good idea. So I guess from my standpoint, because I've seen how these things run. It's very hard to give an AI like certain characteristics, I guess you can say. So you can try to make an AI quote unquote fair, but the definition of fair for them can vary depending on how the data is presented.
Yes.
Because I've seen these things be very, very I've seen some cases where they were racist. I've seen their cases where they don't value life at all. That's not something we should that's something you should be worried about, but not yet. But like, as far as something as they categorize as super intelligent, we're very far from something like that, at least for now. Right now, and I think I've even told Marcos here, is like
a lot of times
one of the big problems with AI is that you can't program emotions. So like love, hatred, all of that stuff. And because of that, their decisions can logically make sense, but morally will sometimes be the worst decision possible.
Sure.
Like for example, saving a group. Yeah, or I was gonna say like saving like a group of kids, but you have to kill a kid.
Right.
It's like,
but I understand. Yeah.
it's like, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say is like, we're not there where they can be super intelligent. They can learn, like AI can learn. That's and that's a really big thing for us nowadays. That's where I like mention this a lot. Autonomous cars or your Google Assistant.
I mean, you did studies on that, so I feel like you have a lot of insight on this. That's why.
No, yes, but like that's as far as you can be. Like, for example, I did a project where I was given a set of pictures of cats and dogs, and what I had to do was identify what breed of cat or dog it was, and I would tell it what are available to me, and for it to predict. Now, every now and then, it wouldn't predict right. Like it could give me like a dog breed, but it was a cat. So as far as for like a super intelligent AI that can exceed human intelligence, it's very far. And like Raj said, it's overcomplicating a problem. And for me to take it even further, it's like we're not even there yet. The thing can barely walk by itself.
That's right. Now, do you get scared when you see that Boston Dynamics robots doing dances and that dog thing they've created?
I get excited.
Yeah, I get excited too. The only problem is that like when it starts running over things that's not supposed to.
Right, 'cause we're seeing the edited video, huh?
Yeah. And like I don't know if you remember, this was pretty recently, but I'm talking about like a year or two back. They had a robot. I forgot what it was called, but it was like it was looked to be like a female robot. And
the Twitter one?
No, not the Twitter one. It's a different one. And like I remember one of the questions were like, it was something to do with like survival of the human race, and their options, or the thing it chose was to erase, like someone sort of like a Thanos type. I think yeah, or to kill people essentially to get rid of the problem. And people were like, oh no.
Oh no, yeah, I'm in danger.
No, yeah, but it was not an actual decision, because AI doesn't like, I guess, remember past situations. It can start learning as time progresses, but like say it made one decision and we're on to the next one, it won't really like recall back, okay, what I made before. Unless you're like, the only algorithm I can think of that can do that is like pathfinding algorithms. So like stuff for like Google Maps, because you want to know the quickest path possible.
Sure.
And in order to do that, you have to go back a little bit sometimes. But as far as for like, I guess things going by itself.
Yeah.
It tends not to look at its past sometimes.
So would it be fair to say then the stuff that, the Tesla car or autonomous vehicles are doing, that is then not AI, that's just a program that's learning from all the past data to understand the limitations of the road and the things? Is that a rough way of thinking about that?
Yes, that's actually the most accurate way of thinking of it.
By no means.
And like I've told Marco before, we're not there.
If you
like
were to
consider AI. I've always called it like pseudo AI.
How close are percentage? 100% being AI? What percentage are we there, in your opinion?
Like 40, 30, around there.
Damn. Okay.
Because when I think of AI, you think completely self-aware and self-autonomous. So meaning like a human being. So like a. I guess you could say, but like if you place a person, or like let me bring up like a good a game I recently started going to. I don't know if you heard of like The Forest. It's this like survival based game where you're stuck on an island, and basically your goal is to well, actually no, it doesn't even matter the goal, but basically you're surviving out there, doing what you can to, you know, keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself full,
surviving natives,
and survive without really any help at all. It's all on your own. There is no like algorithm or AI that can do things on its own. It needs it needs data. It needs like hints and all that to be guided into the right direction. So that's what I think. And even as something as common as like Google Assistant, I think it's more of like, if the person says this, respond with that.
Sure. Now, if you looked at that KDP thing, or excuse me, not the Alexa skill set builder that they have on there, that's all it is. It's a bunch of if and then statements.
Loops. Yes.
Yeah.
The if and else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even stuff like, oh, that's not how you pronounce my name. That could be fixed.
Yeah.
That could be accounted for. If we can't pronounce it the right way, find out what the right pronunciation is.
So I also have another 2 cents besides the calm down. There's a backstory. I was in college like 2014, 2013. Allegedly a Twitter had released an AI bot to the world in their Twitter universe thing. Like, within 24 hours, it identified as a girl that was Jewish, that was scared, that was also a Nazi. But because it was given so much data, it identified itself as an AI, and Twitter announced it as an AI. Just give it data, and let's see what it does. Within 24 hours, it did all that because it got overwhelmed or given negative data, because we all know how the internet is. It can be mean, it could be positive, like what you and I did, Raj. We reached out and
absolutely, yes,
reached out through the ether, and we're here. But this is a good example. But if people want to be malicious through anonymity, they'll be as malicious as they want. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile if they want to be negative. And in regards for survival and the emotion parts, the thing that separates us right now versus algorithm, I've had this personal, like, I am with my parents specifically right now with quarantine, that let's have a game plan for the day, right? We have a discussion like a democracy, and then comes in my brother, and he's like, I'm in disagreement till this point, and today literally happened. What percentage of 100% being agreements and 1 to 5 being in agreements and 1 being in disagreements are you in? My dad interjected right away. That's not how it's applied, Marcos. That's not relevant. That's overthinking it. I'm like, but at least I get an understanding how much he's thinking.
Yes.
And I get like being thrown sometimes about being too technical. But that's because of my life experience and work experience. Like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you? Or how yay or nay, how much versus a spectrum, and giving it an amount. And AIs are given that data. Algorithms right now are given that data. But what separates algorithms versus humans is that think for survival, that they want to survive. Emotions, regret, those are stopgaps. Those are, what would you say, are recall systems for us to, I shouldn't do this because I'm going to have pain. It's going to hinder my survival. I have to be friendly with these people because it's going to benefit my survival. The survival, it all ends up at survival. I hate these people, or I don't want these people because it's going to ruin my survival. At the end of the day, it has to 100% has to do with our survival. I should network more. Ironically, right, Raj, you and I, we easily could have said no or not even thought about talking. But just because of me being curious, I reached out into the internet and got this positive result. And I don't regret it. I'm happy because I did that. And that's another positive recall that I can hopefully cultivate. There we go.
No doubt about it. And then you learn from your mistakes, because eventually, regardless of, and not reference to our specific conversation, but there could be, some guy or some person who just wants to screw with, someone's podcast and come on as a guest just to make things go bad.
Internet troll.
And a troll, yes. So that, you have this ability to lean back on, hey, I've had a few good experiences, or you maybe even have a hope for a good experience, right? That could lead you to do something which the AI would definitely say, nope, the risks don't make sense. Never ever go back on Reddit, and it's over.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so everything as a human right now for super, quote unquote, super intelligent would back off to our own survival and preservation of our species, versus an AI doesn't have to worry about its preservation. If it truly is intelligent, like in the movie with the Avengers versus Ultron, it has to worry about its preservation.
Oh man, if you don't, let me jump in for one quick second. So there's some podcast. So obviously I don't remember the name now, but they do like theater and drama. And one of their short stories, it still lingers with me, is a lady is answering the phone and she's talking to the other person on the phone. And they're basically saying, I want to cancel my cable. And as this conversation is just being repeated over and over, the podcast hosts show us that these are actually two robots talking to each other, but the robot calling in to cancel his cable service is somehow feeling sad and alone because his owners of the home are dead. And they end the podcast with these two machines talking to each other because the phone call is programmed not to hang up on the cable person. And whenever the whenever the caller says, I don't want cable, it's supposed to offer some type of a deal to keep the person on the line.
Wow.
And the robot calling in knows that. So he never says yes to any of the offers. And at the end of the episode, they say, how long have you been talking? And the cable lady says, we've been at this for 927 years. So the idea being that these two robots were just interacting with each other in just a loop. Wow. And, all of civilization has come and gone, but they're still trying to, they're stuck in that loop.
I like it. I like the premise.
That sounds like
yes. Have you heard about what's the second gig? What's the name? I
was gonna say, like, that sounds like an infinite loop, which is a really big problem in programming.
Yeah, the oh no. What is it the oh no?
Oh, the big O notation?
Yeah, the big oh no notation.
Oh no, then that would be infinite. That's bad. You never want to go infinite.
Infinite loop is you don't get out, basically. Is that
yes.
Yeah.
Like it's you stuck in the code, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the code is you're not stuck. You easily just say exit.
Understood, right? The decision of whatever the machine is doing is stuck. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope my dog is barking outside.
That's okay. I don't know if you guys heard in the background. Somebody was using a blender.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Thank you.
I heard the barking though.
Yeah, that's okay.
I heard it like very faint.
That's okay. Okay. So I feel like this is a good conversation for part 4. Now, number 5.
Oh no.
Yes. Jose, you're gonna have to you have to bring me back to earth.
Let me grab my whip. Not even a rope, a whip.
You're like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You're gonna hold me by my ankle. Don't go.
Basically.
I'm like, you'll float too. Okay. What's out there? The exploration, the exoplanet sky so far. Open quote. Since a giant planet in a scorching orbit captured public attention in 1995, a sky full of strange and exotic exoplanets orbiting other stars has only grown richer in variety and detail. In exoplanets sizes, a mysterious gap We're also mystified by what's not out there between these two size ranges: super Earth and mini Neptunes. Seems to be a kind of demographic desert. Very few planets. It's been called the Fulton Gap by B.J. Fulton, a scientist who outlined their absence in a 2017 paper. Fulton, a research astronomer at Caltech, says he's now working to understand why the gap exists and how it might change for planets around different types of stars. Answering many of these questions requires not just observing exoplanets and their stars, but creating computer simulations, wink wink, nudge nudge, models of other planets and other systems. Such models are growing in sophistication, representing complex planetary atmospheres or formation scenarios involving migrations of planets towards or away from their stars. Read more at www.exoplanets.nasa.gov. / No, NASA. Let's keep it at NASA. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of data, but not a lot of interpretation. There's a lot of data, and they need more data to create algorithms or to create software models.
Yes. Knowledge.
Data. All at the end of the day, data is key.
Yes.
Salutations, Marcos here. This is a message to all the listeners out there. There are links in the show notes for our Twitter, email, and even show notes. Any questions or ideas for the podcast can be sent via these links. Now, back to our regularly scheduled podcast. But yeah, and how we interpret it. But still, personally, like Josue once said, we don't want. He hopes that it doesn't become what's the word that you said for the U.S. expanding?
Manifest destiny.
He hoped, because there's been a lot of violence with that in this country.
Absolutely.
Now imagine expanding it to outer space or just to our atmosphere with the development of the Space Force and competition between countries. But historically, with the Cold War, it was unfortunately a Cold War, the space race, because it was a military race with another country. Do you think to my two guests right now, my two speakers, do you believe that race has once again sparked between governments and companies?
For me, the answer is definitely yes.
Or has it ever stopped?
And it's never stopped. And it allows us to, it's so important that we ignore some very nasty parts of our own human condition, because, the original NASA is essentially the German Nazi space program.
You're right.
And,
I forgot about that.
And, we brought those men in and we feted them, and then we got to the moon. And, as I say, the science is awesome. The idea of leaving this place is awesome. But, so to do that, we swallow a lot more. And so to me, this is part of the human condition. Getting into space is going to be a thing. And how we get there, that's the question. We need to start thinking about this.
It's not
sooner than later.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
but what? Not politics. What ethics? I guess we bring along. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So our old boy Elon Musk wants to say we go to Mars, we make up our own laws.
Again, another colony.
Yeah. The answer could be no. And then, just 2 days ago, I was talking to one of my friends about this. As you guys, are you guys follow The Expanse on Amazon? Have you seen that?
I've seen bits here and there. Yeah,
sure. So the overall arching story is, Earth, I think Mars, and then some other planetoid human beings. So we get a bunch of people to Mars, and they start acting up. Oh, no. At the end of the day, we have to launch one missile from space, and those guys on Mars are forever beholden to Earth until they somehow are able to develop a counteract and launch something at us. So, any guy who goes to Mars and says, I'm going to make my own laws, I think misunderstands that they have no power on Mars.
They only have as much power as they literally can throw their Martian rock.
That's it. Yes.
Versus here, there's been a lot of time. And then there's a joke, I think, in one episode where a gentleman can tell what a lady looks like that's not from Earth, but just by the way she walks. And that reminded me of the 50s with the Cold War, how people could spot Russian spies and vice versa.
That's right.
That made me kind of sad, but at the same time, that's just part of the territory with humans. That the Russian thing in the U.S. is just one recent incident, but historically, with what's the have your friends close and your enemies closer.
That's correct.
There was an ancient temple in what's the name? Okay, again, sorry, I'm gonna reference anime. The Floating Gardens from Fate, the Fate series. Also, did you ever see it?
Which one?
Wait, Apocrypha?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Okay, so this entire series in anime basically revolves about a holy war that they in this case Japanese mostly, but they summon heroes, legendary heroes from the past. In some cases, King Arthur, Alexander the Great. Oh, Semiramis. There we go, Semiramis from. I forgot from what nation, but she was known as the great poisoner of the East in Middle Eastern culture. Up there with Helen from Troy with her beauty, and Achilles. There we go. Even Achilles was around in this. Spartacus, all those things for anime.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to say is that espionage is just hand in hand with humans, unfortunately, and other animals. It's just another medium in space, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That saddens me, but at the same time, I'm trying to be positive.
No, and would it not be fair to say, look at our, you guys are, I don't know how to classify, but, there's Mexican heritage, I think, that you alluded to. What did the Europe bring to that continent, right? And when we go back to that first article we read, I felt kind of weird because they said that this eagle is from circa 1450, maybe.
Yes.
So can you imagine, now that we obviously know the history, how scary it is that in another 40 years, someone is going to be coming and it's going to end an entire continent of people.
That's ominous. That's very scary. Yeah.
That's so scary. So, so basically, just wanted to add that to that is that, oh goodness, I lost my train of thought here. What was your specific?
It just, I'm excited for the future, but I'm at the same time trying to be like, humans are they're not gonna change in this.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
they're gonna be being
right. So the bulk. Excuse me. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, right. So the bulk of the condition is the same, right? We're still hungry. There's food, there's hunger, lust, whatever. But we are, I think, sitting here in 2021, a much different human being than we were in 1491 or 1791 or, just in the year 91. So we do get this improvement of who we are as human beings. And that's what space will bring. Is I don't think these guys can plan. Just like your AI discussion, Jay, is we shouldn't be trying to plan. Just let it be.
Let's deal with it once it happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get pessimistic sometimes, but at the same time, I get excited, but at the same time pessimistic because of history.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you guys recently I found another video about how Teddy Roosevelt got a Medal of Honor for going to war against Spain back in the in the early United States, back in the 50s or 60s. No, before World War
18.
Yeah, before World War One even.
Yes. Yeah. This was the well, maybe not in the 1800s, but
1900s. Let's go with that.
Very early 1900s. Yeah.
Yeah, and also got a Nobel Peace Prize for stopping the Russo-Japanese War for moderating. So I'm like, what? Isn't this the sign of the biggest hypocrisy? But at the same time, I say cheers because he had to live in the thick of war to understand how he can reach to peace. That way, he wouldn't be seen as hippo. What's the word? How do you say the word? I can say it in Spanish.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, hypocrite. There we go. Because like I can be saying about peace and all those things, but violence, you have to be in the thick of it to know, call it out, say I did that. I know, like it takes one to know one, basically. And that's why, like, at the same time, I understand that there's going to be violence in space, but it's going to have to take people that live in that environment, like us over here when the US became independent. They lived it and they fought for their independence, versus up there, they're going to live in the thick of it. They're going to see that violence. I can only speculate over what's going on right now, from life to life, from your life, Roger, from Mr. J, from Josue. Yeah, but it's just that I like to talk about. I like to talk about it, and hopefully we can spread our own experiences with this subject and have fun. Teamwork, dreamwork, memeworks.
Of course, the memes.
Always the memes. But yeah, that's my other TED Talk.
2 cents?
Yes, my 45 cents.
Perfect. It's going up, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully. So yeah. What about you, Josue? You got any 2.25 cents?
My 2 quarters?
Yes.
I mean, let's see. I forget what the whole question was. I guess space exploration, right?
Yeah, like I'm always looking up into the stars and beyond the moon and all those things, but there's going to be problems, obviously, but it's going to take the people that are living through the problems to solve the problem, not just me pretending what's going to happen, being idealistic and all those things. Literally me sitting on this back, like a backseat quarterback.
Backseat quarterback?
That's what I'm feeling right now for the future.
No, I mean, for me, like I've, as me and Marcos always say, always the realistic part of it, and there's going to be problems, like as Marcos said. And for me, like for space exploration, greed is always a big problem in anything. Like I said before with Marcos, Manifest Destiny was really what led us to have this big stretch of land we call the United States. And the cost of many, unfortunately, Native Americans losing their land, and unfortunately now even losing their cultures and people. For me, for Mars, like it's cool if you want to go to Mars, but colonizing it, settling it, people are going to get greedy, and maybe there's going to be people out there that want to take it for themselves. So that's always like, maybe we should, like, for me is like maybe creating a set of rules before doing anything major over there might be a good idea, but then it'll become the problem of how can we enforce these laws, because these are new places, no one has been there before.
Absolutely. And in American history, when they were agitating to break from Britain, this was one of their biggest arguments that you just brought up, is that they said, how are you able to enforce laws when you are across an ocean, and when we need to get things done, it's taking us 2-3 weeks of transit via ship? And that was one of their moral arguments, that we're just too damn far to be to have you tell us what to do.
Didn't that apply to all its colonies though?
Pardon me?
Didn't that apply for England's manner?
That's the beauty of it. Exactly. I was about to say, but of course we will ignore that when they did whatever they did in Africa or India or other parts of Asia.
Yeah.
So it was selective, but this was, at least from a Western legal argument, they felt that they wanted to place that argument, and that was one of the ways that they got Americans agitated enough. Yeah.
Now, a question: was the U.S. nowadays, was that the first colony to go independent from England?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. That's a Google. Yeah, let's.
Pre or before the 7 year war, before the 7 year war, or after the 7 year war with France, was there any colonies that became independent and maybe survived, let's say for 10 years? Or something before getting absorbed by somebody else?
What are the answers here? This is a ambiguous question. Yeah, we need a history person to answer this.
Because now
it looks like from history.com, Rhode Island was the first colony to declare independency from England.
Oh, were you speaking about a American or like some other country?
Global itself,
yeah, because we had the rebellion in Haiti.
Yes.
So but that was France, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can't answer this question, but that's a wonderful question. Yeah.
No, yeah. So according to Google, it was America to be the first colony.
I see. That broke the shackle, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
And then and when did Canada get it? Like, did they just kind of get it with us, or was it much later?
I think it might have been much later. Let me see.
Yeah.
Because Australia or New Zealand, I think, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Got it in the 90s, I think.
Yeah, 1867 was Canada's independence year.
Now, I feel like there's another factor to consider, because I think my theory right now, off the top of my hot take, is that they let it become independent, with probably France being a big enemy and having a lot of colonies, and Spain at that time having a lot of colonies over there in the Americas. They'll probably get absorbed. That's my theory right now, understanding history, because there was a 7 year war with France, and on different continents they had wars.
Yes.
So if they lost a colony, which admittedly could be a big one, but they still had Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, a lot of Africa, entire India.
Yeah.
They were willing to sacrifice a big chunk of land, just, because people wanted to be independent, and there was an ocean. Logistics matter wasn't that light versus traveling another ocean or having the Silk Road. They were willing to risk it, I guess, or to say goodbye.
Yep.
Go their separate ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think they figured out that, there's,
what's the word? Something to squeeze. The something is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah. Getting that last drop out of the orange, they said, F it, we don't have enough from America. We'll go elsewhere. And that they did, huh?
Yeah. And then the entire culture of everyone over here being armed.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in every other colony, they weren't armed, right? Or were they also armed?
It's like then it came to Marcus's favorite time era, the Wild West.
I mean, that was the culture. That's the big idea over here in the U.S. that, since the government of the U.S. didn't have the logistic strength or the military strength, they had to let their own counties be armed and have their own militia, be independent. But once the army came in, they could integrate. And that's the entire military idea of the United States, to be flexibility, adapt, and overcome. That's the motto of the military, but because it's based on its history. Now, that I feel like that's another thing that goes to space, that they're going to be flexible. That ideology of being flexible, having boots on the ground, unfortunately, living through it, they'll be able to come up with a solution. It's not going to be the best one. Hindsight, right? Is always 2020. Yes. Nowadays, I feel like the world is going to be saying hindsight is 2020. It's not going to be. Right. It's not going to be true.
Yeah.
But
there's a great podcast. It's actually a audiobook, 6 books that the guy did. His name is Nathan Lowell, and it's something called the Solar Clipper or something. You can find it on the Apple infrastructure.
Okay.
And he's imagined a universe where corporations own planets, and they decide who gets to stay on a planet, who gets to leave. And his thought process is that it's like a mercantilistic, like a business thing, and that will keep things safe and easy because companies don't want to lose money.
Now, is there an invisible hand, though?
No, not only will there be invisible hand, but also cruelty, because that's what, the East India Company, that's what it did to India. It was actually a corporation that took over India, and eventually it became the British Crown.
Yep.
And they did that same silliness in Africa. So I don't trust a corporation to run a planet. No way.
There we go. We have more knowledge about that. I want this, hopefully all this knowledge, if future generations are listening to this podcast, learn
We've
from
done it.
We've passed our knowledge, and hopefully it'll stay immortalized in the internet somehow.
Indeed, yes.
But yeah, I feel like that's a good part for that one. What do you have any closing statements? Also, I feel like I'm cutting you off. Sorry.
Well, I mean, like, I think even before colonizing, we should get to the point of how do we get there? Because space travel right now is not ready for commercial use by a long shot. And then, of course, it's back to the conversation we had before. How do we colonize it? We have to create, a suitable place to live in.
The example of the United States, they brought the guns.
But this is like, making up a whole like gravity, atmosphere,
air,
air, water, food. It's more than just being there. It's making it suitable for life.
You're right, and you're right. You're not wrong. But if it's just me, like, this is like the, what's the word, ethical conversation of it, which is as big or not as big versus the survival part of even being able to get there.
Well, both being to be able to get there and also staying there.
True.
Yeah, right. Physically, we, until we get a centrifugal type, until we get artificial gravity, I guess that's the better way to put it. Our bones, we deteriorate immediately as soon as we're in space. We're dying faster.
Oh, yeah, we're physically locked, right? Because of gravity? Yeah. We're physically locked to a planet. I forgot. Even in the series, right? The Great Expanse, they showed how a human, for example, how it would look if it was 1/3, I think, the gravity, or in a space colony.
I think Mars is the one that had the gravity issue, but the space colony was, I think, on like normal Earth.
Oh,
because it's it's rotating, I guess. Yeah, not too. Yeah.
Yeah, but how they tortured him for 8 hours, I think, or 10.
I remember who you're talking about. Yes, yeah.
That was like one of the snippets that I just couldn't resist and look up. The gentleman looked like he was like 7 or 8 feet tall, but he was super lanky, and this was a product of gravity.
Martian gravity. Yeah.
And what do? They just remove the water and let him feel Earth's gravity. He's like, for 8 hours straight, he's just sweating bullets, and like it's hard for him to breathe. And then I think he ends up killing himself, I think.
Oh, well.
Yeah, like to prove a point.
Yes.
Like many people do nowadays, to prove a point, or Japanese, to prove a point, they kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't really like, but still, anyways. Okay, Closing thoughts. That was my closing thought. Anybody else want to give a closing thought?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, so now number 6, full on more Marco's shower thoughts, and this is an ironic, a double entendre on what we came up with this segment through the podcast, Raj, because like normally I come up about these ideas while I'm taking a shower, and like, okay, normally I'm listening to podcasts, and when I'm not listening to podcasts, my brain just runs with different ideas. I feel like
absolutely. Yep.
Podcasts keep me sane? ?
Yeah.
I think Marco just accepted the fact that he brings in a huge speaker to the shower, and starts playing
he likes. So we should question: does he like to have a whisper in the shower? How's that? So, is someone watching you, Marcos?
I'll bring it to the next level. I listen to podcasts while I go to sleep.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He even dreams about it.
I put it to run for 299 seconds. Minutes.
Okay. Seconds.
Minutes. 299 minutes. Which is how many hours?
6 hours, no? Yeah.
Or 5 hours. I put it to run 5 hours.
5 hours, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, give or take.
I put it to run 5 hours and I pass out, wake up. Oh, it's still running. Okay, continue listening while I wake up.
Specific ones, or like you keep finding new ones?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
D&D. Another channel called the Rooster Teeth web series. What else? Mainly Dungeons and Dragons, because it has its own story and it incorporates a lot of dice, and I like it. That's I fall asleep to that.
Very cool.
But yeah, so this is my shower thought. This one is a summary of what I thought about throughout the week, and up until today even. I just give it a little grammatical corrections. Marco's shower thought segments. Here we go. Understanding what I'm doing is a work in progress. Worrisome at least, exciting at most. I'm by no means the best out there, but I'm working on it. Okay? Remember, one must always be humble, I think. Thought 1. Understanding the spark that just inspires you to create, in many cases, shower thoughts, by making my bed every day. That's an inspirational YouTube video that talks about a Navy SEAL General Admiral, that his personal, that YouTube video that I linked, but it's a super cut of different segments of the speech. But I've listened to the original 25-minute speech originally, and the one that keeps me going, that I try to follow every day, is to make my bed. Not by the best way as possible, but still I'm trying. Is that at the beginning of the day, I wake up, turn on my lights, and make my bed. However the day goes by, whatever happens throughout the day, good or bad, awesome or it sucks, I'll always come back to a made bed that I made. So it's the little victories, the things, having something like a mantra to continue. The example of the Navy SEAL, they were always forced to make their bed to close to perfection, but of course for them, their teachers, their mentors, were mentally going to put them, it's never going to be perfect. They're always going to get punished for something. That's the weeding process for them, the way to weed out the weak. But what he learned was that however intense the day was, they're always going to come back to a bed that they made at the beginning of the day. So it's a psychological booster, something that's consistent for me and for them. Thoughts? What do you guys think?
If this is like a reference to routine and personal zen, no doubt about it. I have a friend who purposely does not make his bed every day because that's what was ingrained in him when he was younger, that you don't start the day till the bed is made.
So he never makes it.
Yeah, he purposely, he's a grown man now, but he purposely does not make his bed for that reason. So I think, if you can find your, your zen, your place that gets you centered somehow, do it.
What about you, Mr. J?
I always say anime and manga for life.
But
there you go.
We went camping once, I think, you and I.
When?
And I never saw you.
Wait, when? Yeah, when?
Remember when your cousin's jacket got lost?
Which cousin?
Allison?
No, I don't remember that one.
Okay. But yeah, by Bear Mountain, that we went fishing and I broke the fishing pole.
Oh, yeah.
Me being a klutz, but still, I didn't see you make your bed.
Huh?
Exactly.
You got you. It's a wrap, yeah.
I plead the fifth. You've been
I put in the AI to say, is it logically a good idea to make bet, and he said no.
Before you even did machine learning, I call shenanigans.
That's very reasonable. Yes.
Very logical.
The robot told us.
The robot told us. Exactly.
Instead of gangster rap, robot told me.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, thought number 2. What inspired me to do what I do? The goal is to understand big concepts and trends into a bite-sized piece, maybe a meme or two. But since life keeps moving forward, the interpretation continues to change, as do the memes. At the end of the day, I try to make a meme to make light of it, but to have fun and a good time at the end of the day. But the goalpost is always changing, so we can only meme about it at the end of the day.
So wait, you're playing soccer?
Soccer, rugby, lacrosse,
football,
anything that, water polo, anything that has an objective, life will always change it. You think you might make it, but there's always, personally, for me, like I said to Raj, like when he told me to scale it to what was my thought about his podcast, I put it on a scale of 1 to 10, and I've told it to you also, my way of thinking. Nothing is going to be a 10 in my life, personally.
Except for Rooster's Market Sandwich.
No,
he's
that's like a 9.98 or 99. Never a 10, unfortunately.
For you math boys, huh?
The day I find a 10 is the day I die. I'm keeping it now here. The day I find a 10 anything is the day I die.
He's like, I can live rest in peace now.
Oh yeah, I even did that on while I was growing up in middle school. Not in this country. I practiced martial arts, specifically Taekwondo. There's the belt, all the belts, the black belts. There's the 6th belt, I think, and the 6th belt is when you die, when you ascend, basically. So they're also going with that mentality that the highest level is number 5. Once you reach number 6, that means you've ascended even spiritually. That means you die. I feel like that's, and then my personal engineering thing, that's my own mix. To never be satisfied, but at the same time, have tepid expectations. That's my thought. What do you guys say?
For me, in terms of inspiration, is I am also a immigrant into this country, or of this country, I guess.
Yeah.
So we get put that in very early. Keep trying. It's not good enough. Not from any parental or even external point of view. It's just that when we come here, we're culturally somewhat very different from where we came from. So for me, the inspiration is just, it's the sooner you realize who you are and you're happy with that person, I think that is a good enough answer. Don't be mean, don't be nasty, and enjoy life.
Yay, that's a good one. Don't be mean, don't be nasty, and enjoy your life. Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. J? You're the youngest one. Any thoughts?
Again, anime and manga for no.
Anime
that needs to be a t-shirt, right?
Yeah, anime.
I think that is, because that's not my line. That's from a YouTuber. So it might be already.
But yeah, so anime and manga is literally interpretation of historical things.
Oh,
so,
wait, hold up. Take it easy now. We gotta whip you back into this. We can't say that, Marcos. You know exactly why.
Why?
Because if that was true, that would be a whole lot of problems.
Copyrights?
No. What do you think?
I don't know.
All right. So yeah, but yeah, it's you do what you do.
Do what you got and do what you do.
As long as my teacher goes, as long as you don't spill my coffee, we'll be good.
Oh,
that's cool.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
No, yeah, I still remember that too.
As long as you don't spill my coffee, we good. That's in a t-shirt. Oh, okay. So, thought number 3: M&Ms, sandwiches,
you were hungry,
smartphones, anime. What do they all have in common? They are iterations, the latest that has come before them. Are there signs of them reaching their peak or or plateauing? And then I referenced the military experiment in engineering. I'm always going to be looking for engineering stuff, so I'm kind of biased there. With the Cheyenne. Cheyenne. There we go.
Yeah.
Wait,
Cheney.
that's an actual thing?
Cheyenne could be Cheney, yeah.
I thought you were talking about a person. I was like, who's Cheyenne?
age 56 Cheyenne, in the thick of the 50s.
Yeah, I think that's pronounced Cheyenne, right? Like Cheyenne, Wyoming. I think that's it. Yeah.
There's only one thing to do in a time like this.
Google.
Same thing with Omamwe.
Omamwa.
Yeah. So that's alien, right? He came and visited us. It's a wrap.
It is Cheyenne.
Okay, the Cheyenne Mountains.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Yes, of course. And that's where I think NORAD is now.
Yes.
So my answer to you, Marcos, with this thought number 3 in iterations, skunk works.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Jose? Any thought?
Again, same thing. No, but like, I don't know about M&M's. I don't know if this relates to M&M's because they literally are the same thing. But as far as like sandwiches, smartphones, and anime, there's always like a little something that makes them different from the last.
Wait. Milk chocolate, peanut butter, mint. They're wrapped up the same, but they have different insides.
Yeah. So there is like, I guess you could say iterate. When I think of iteration, I think of like almost the same, you can say. But these are like a little bit different. Like every anime that's based off of, like, for example, Journey to the West is not going to be the same. They could be talking about Oolong or the monk himself. So I feel like everything has a little bit different. They have something in common, yes, but they're always something a little bit different with each other.
And that's what makes
just like how you and your brothers are not the same, even though you all start with the little M.
Yeah, that's the running joke for us, Raj.
Mm-hmm.
Marcos, Moses, and Misael were the M&Ms.
The trail run.
We would cosplay, like for Halloween, we would cosplay as M&M packages.
Perfect.
With an extra M.
Well, the littlest M didn't come around until I was 13, so he didn't live through the M&M Halloween era in the 90s.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, literally, I was red M&Ms. My little brother back in the day was the yellow M&Ms.
Yes.
And that was the running joke for many years.
The M&Ms are here.
Yeah, there you go. And then, if you want to be religious, if you count the letters on each one of those, if you're into numerology, MARCOS 6, and then my brother MOISES 6, and then my youngest brother, guess how many letters?
I'm gonna guess 6.
Yes.
There you go. In my house, the 13th, almost everybody's born either on the 12th or the 13th, and it's just weird. But that number is in our house everywhere. Yeah.
It's just us trying to find patterns again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Our AI is misinterpreting the data. Yeah.
Keep up AI.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep up AI.
Yeah, I'm putting all this facts. Why aren't you jumping into conclusions?
He pops in and be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, I can hear you saying this.
It's your Google Assistant that you have in the corner, Marcos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, I do have one of those. Or 2. In my household.
Yeah, just say, hey.
No.
No.
I'm going to mute that later in editing. That way it doesn't pop up. But yeah, those are my thoughts personally. So, any closing statements?
Define thoughts.
Well, they're ramblings at least, and conclusions that I feel are productive, because M&Ms, they were inspired, and there were changes like the classic milk chocolate, and then came out the peanut M&Ms, and then different versions, and then there's a whole market for it that still runs until this day. Sandwiches. What do you think, Raj? Sandwich is an amalgamation of the entire world. If you could represent it as a sandwich.
Absolutely. And then every culture has its own sandwich, doesn't it?
There we go. Yeah.
So you cannot escape the sandwich.
Hey,
Okay.
like gravity.
Yes. It's going to follow us to the moon. I think our boys, when they were in space in the Apollo missions, I thought they were eating a little burrito. Well, look at this. How about a burrito? I think that went to space before a sandwich did.
Even better.
They had things wrapped up. Yeah.
It's a wrap. Alliteration is awesome. But yeah, and then smartphones, the business with smartphone is, it's just not changing. It's never going to change. No, it will probably, right? It'll be integrated into our bodies.
I think the augmented reality stuff may be back to some type of a glass or something. Maybe a contact lens with something like maybe like something Bluetoothy we have to keep in our pocket, and then we can interface via contact lenses.
Or Marcos, a Neuralink from SAO.
Oh yeah, that's, or the Matrix.
Or the Matrix, yeah.
Or except it's a MagSafe lock instead of a freaking needle.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying though? Remember the Matrix? How they would put an entire like spear into the back of your head? Instead of putting that, they put a MagSafe. It's a MagSafe. Like, oh, you can get up faster. Yeah. I feel like that's my closing statements for the show notes.
I think they're stable. I like it. Yeah.
Hey. Okay. So, thank you, Raj, for coming and visiting us over here at Life Tech and Sundry.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the both of you. Thank you very much. I wish you guys continued success in whatever you do.
Yay.
And if you ever feel like chatting again or something, feel free. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you. Oh, anywhere that we can find you for our listeners over here at Life Tech and Sundry?
If they want to see what I have right now, I'm at So Know This across all platforms.
Okay, I'll put that. So Know This on all Twitter, YouTube.
YouTube, I have a little action going on there, and then obviously Spotify. Yeah.
Oh, and Spotify. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. And hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Yay. This is Marcos.
Okay, thank you both, man. Okay, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
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 Yep.
Have a good time. Hey there, this is Marcos Lopez. It's been 24 hours since I last finished talking with Josue and Raj on the podcast, but this is me trying to be as completionist as possible because I did have Taekwondo back in middle school. So I messed up and said that there are 6 degree levels for black belt, or DANS, D-A-N-S. So technically, physically, you can reach 9 levels. There is a 10th level, but that is only reached if you've made a significant change towards the Taekwondo art style or martial arts, and generally you can also reach it as an individual that has already a 9th degree or 9th Dan, and it's given to you posthumously, meaning you have to die. Thus the joke that you have to ascend in order to get the 10th degree black belt Dan in Taekwondo. That is all. Marcos Lopez signing out. Thank you for tuning in to Life Tech and Sundry. Bye-bye now. Hi there. Thank you for tuning in to the LTS podcast. All the notes and more can be found in the description. By the way, we have a social media page where content is posted regularly. Feel free to reach out at us through there or via email. Both are found in the description. When you support the show, we have a merch store where you can buy an item that you like. If buying merch is not your thing and you just want to support the show directly, we also have links to those too, if you'd like. Thank you. Also, every comment is really appreciated. Credits in the description as well. Peace.